Hello friends, and welcome to Butterfly Meadows Home and Farm. I'm Dorinda. Today I'm going to show you how to make a breakfast burrito that you can eat fresh or you can freeze and have for later for a convenience food. It's like having fast food in your own refrigerator, yet it's homemade. Stick around and I'll show you how. Here on my table I have all of the ingredients we're going to be using to make these burritos. I have 2 pounds of ground sausage. I have about 1.5 dozen of eggs. And the reason I have that many is I have 16 flour tortillas and I want to make at least 16 burritos, and I usually count 1 egg per burrito. And then I have some onions. I have some bell peppers that I had in the freezer that I'm going to be cutting up. And then the jars there behind the bell pepper is little cherry tomatoes that I had canned. And then I have some hot pepper. I have some shredded cheese and of course the flour tortillas. The first thing we're going to do is brown our sausage. I'm going to turn my heat to high. I'm going to add just a little water to my skillet to help the sausage start to fry, and don't worry, that water will boil off as the sausage fries. I'm not sure I will need 2 pounds of sausage, but I can always keep this. If I don't use it in my burritos, I can keep it in my freezer until I need it after it's browned. Our sausage is almost ready. You do want to make sure you have it completely done because it is not going to be cooked anymore except for the reheating that you might do of the burritos that you store for later. So you want to make sure it's that the sausage is completely thoroughly cooked. The sausage is fully cooked now, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to dip it out in, I have a glass bowl here and this colander, and I'm going to dip it out into the colander because I want to get all of the grease off of the sausage. I don't want the grease in my burrito because it'll make it soggy and wet. So I'm going to drain the sausage. Now I'm going to set this aside and let it drain while I scramble the eggs. Did you know that all eggs are white? Even the brown eggs are actually white. What makes them look brown is what they call a bloom that is covering the shell. So if you look inside, this shell is actually white. It's actually white on the outside too. If you were to soak it in vinegar, you could actually rub that brown right off. Except for green eggs, which are actually green, and I will try to show you. It's a very light color green, so I don't know if you can see that, but the inside of a green egg is green. But your brown eggs and all the other different colors, there's different colors of eggs, they are actually white, and what makes them look brown is the bloom that is covering the egg. So I wanted to tell you guys, a lot of people think, see this little white thing attached to the yolk? That is I don't know exactly what it's made out of. It's just some kind of protein, but it holds the yolk to the white. It connects them so that, you know, if a baby chick forms, it is not disconnected from the white part of the egg. Chicken eggs are fertilized as the egg comes out of the chicken, not when the rooster mates with the chicken. Not like, you know, human conception or other animal conception. That is not how a chicken egg is fertilized. So there is no way that is from the rooster, because the fertilization of a chicken egg is literally on the outside of the egg. That is how the egg gets fertilized. So, you know, I've known people that were like really squeamish and would pick the little white part out because they thought that was something gross, and it's not. It is just protein, and it is there to hold the yolk to the white part of the egg. So now we're going to cut up our peppers and our onions, and then we're going to saute them. And you can see I just sliced these onions. They call that pole to pole. I did not like chop them. That's the way I want them sliced. They do really good in the burritos like that. Now these are peppers that I had in the freezer. Peppers are really easy to freeze. All you have to do is wash them, and you can actually stick them in the freezer whole if you want. I sliced these up and took out the seeds, but you don't have to blanch a pepper or anything to freeze it, so they're really easy to freeze. And then you can take them out and saute them or use them however you will. And I don't want my pieces really small in the burrito, so I'm just going to kind of chop them up a little coarse chop. I usually put jalapenos in my burritos, but I don't have any jalapenos. But I do have these hot pickled peppers, and that's what I'm going to use. Red and yellow peppers are beautiful in these burritos too. As far as taste, green peppers do just fine. Okay, now here in these jars, I have canned cherry tomatoes. They are awesome. And I canned them just like I would any other tomato. I didn't skin them, I just washed them and canned them. I always put tomatoes in my burritos. I love to use dried tomatoes. I'm out of dried tomatoes. We've eaten all the tomatoes that I dehydrated, and I did 2 different batches of dehydrating tomatoes. You can use fresh tomatoes, and you can use, like I'm going to use these canned tomatoes. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to open these up and I'm going to drain off all of the water, because I don't need that water. There'll still be a little water in the tomatoes, but that will cook off as I saute the peppers and onions. I'm going to get the peppers and onions started before I put the tomatoes in. And then I'm also going to add, I'm going to go ahead and chop up some of this. I'm going to also add a little bit of hot pepper. Now you can leave any ingredient that is in this burrito out and exchange it for something else. You do not have to use the exact ingredients that I'm using, so feel free to change it about. And I think that will be enough. It really doesn't take much of the hot pepper. And when they're pickled, it actually gives it such a good flavor. I actually prefer the pickled peppers in my burrito. And I have left them out altogether before, and boy, could I tell a difference. It was lacking. It was kind of bland. And you know, these pickled peppers are not going to be that hot. They're not like super hot. Okay, I'm going to get this all sauteed, and then we're going to get to the fun part, putting the burritos together. Okay, I'm going to turn my heat to high, and if you've watched my other videos, you know when I saute peppers and onions, I just add water, and I'm probably not going to add any oil. Something else that I add to my peppers and onions, especially when I'm making burritos, is a little bit of sugar. Now you can leave this out if you're watching carbs or watching sugar. This is 2 tablespoons of sugar. I may not put it all. I'm going to shake it over and see. Yeah, that's about right. 2 tablespoons of sugar, and it just brings out the sweetness that is already in the peppers and the onions, and in the burrito gives it such a fabulous taste. So I have my peppers and onions and my hot pickled peppers, and here are my tomatoes. I'm going to wait and put my tomatoes in when these are closer to being done. So the peppers and onions are not quite done yet. We want the onions to be translucent. They are beginning to get there, so I'm going to add my tomatoes. And these tomatoes, guys, they smell like fresh tomatoes. I am definitely going to do more of this year. Hopefully I'll have lots of cherry tomatoes that I can dehydrate and can and eat. The great thing about them is, you know, you don't have to peel them and take the skin off. You just use them just like they are. And what I'm going to do at this point, I'm going to let this cook until all the water is cooked off, and then we'll be ready to put our burritos together. Okay guys, so my peppers and onions are done. I'm going to turn off the heat. And they're pretty dry. But I went ahead and put my sausage in another bowl and washed this colander and bowl. And I'm going to put the peppers and onions in here because I don't want my burritos to be soggy since I'm going to be freezing them and storing them. So I'm going to put them in this colander and let any water that might still be in there drain off. Okay, now we are ready to assemble our burritos. I had my flour tortillas stored in the refrigerator, and so what I did was I put them in the microwave and just got them barely warm. And the reason I did that is I learned the hard way that a cold flour tortilla cracks when you fold it. So be sure your tortilla shell is a little bit warm so that it doesn't crack. And I usually start off with a spoon of eggs, about that many eggs. Now, I want to tell you, don't be tempted to overfill your burrito. You'll regret it when you start to fold it up. And then about the same amount of sausage. And it's hard for me to get all my ingredients over here close and still be able to have everything on camera. Okay, and then we're going to have about the same amount of our peppers and onions, and then a nice generous amount of cheese. And that's actually pretty full. If you don't know how to fold the burrito, this is how I was taught to fold the burrito. You fold one, so I put, if you notice, I put the ingredients in there kind of long ways. And so I turn it this way, and on each end of the long way, fold this side and this side. Then I'm going to put my finger here where this is where the ingredients begin, and kind of hold them, and I'm going to pull it forward. And as I come over here, I'm going to take the burrito and I'm actually going to tuck and roll. And there you have a nice little burrito that is all rolled up and none of the filling is going to come out. And what I do when I'm making a big batch is I just lay them in a pan so that they don't come unrolled. And once I get a bunch of them made up, then I will wrap them. And I'll show you how I'm going to do that. So let's do another one. You lay your warm tortilla down. Put in, it's about 1 egg. It's probably 2 tablespoons of egg, but it's about 1 egg. And about a tablespoon or 2 of sausage. I could probably do a little more. But like I said, you don't want to overfill the burrito because then you won't be able to wrap it together. And then we're going to put our cheese. I'm always generous with the cheese because that just makes it so good. Now I'm going to turn my burrito this way, fold each side, kind of put my finger here as a placeholder to keep the filling from moving as I pull the side closest to me over. And then when I get on top like that, I'm going to put my hand on top and use the burrito to block the filling from my hands and tuck it and pull and roll. And there you have your burrito. So I'm going to get the rest of these rolled up and then I'll show you how I'm going to wrap them. So I have all my burritos wrapped and rolled, and I wanted to show you how I was going to wrap them to put them in the freezer. So I have a piece of aluminum foil and a piece of parchment paper. Both of these are oven safe, but I don't want to just wrap my burrito in aluminum foil. That's why I have the parchment paper. And just take the burrito, lay it in the center, layer the 2 papers. And there we have it. And after I wrap these in foil and parchment paper, I will put them in a Ziploc bag. And then I can just get out ever how many I need for breakfast and let them thaw. I can either let them thaw the night before, or if I forgot and didn't do that, I can get them out and I can take off the foil, put them in the microwave wrapped in the parchment paper, but not the foil. And then I always like to put them in the oven to finish off, because if you don't have to, but if you don't, your burrito will be a little soft, almost like doughy. But if you put it in the oven for just a few minutes to finish it off, it comes out just like this, and they're delicious. And we eat ours with salsa and hot sauce. You can put any kind of sauce with them that you want. So here are our burritos all wrapped up, and these I'm keeping out for us to eat. These I'm going to be putting in the freezer. I labeled my bag, burritos, breakfast burritos, thaw, heat, and eat, and I'll put the date on them. And I always do that because it's inevitable that you will eventually forget what you put in the freezer, and you won't remember what it is. I am just so happy that you stopped by to share this with me today. I really hope you will give these burritos a try. They're great to make and have fresh, or to put in the freezer, or just in the refrigerator. If you just need them in a day or two, or something around a week, you can just put them in the refrigerator. But if you're going to be keeping them longer than that, then put them in the freezer. And it's a great meal. It's a wholesome meal. It's not unhealthy. It's pretty low carb if you're watching your carbs. So I think they're a great breakfast, and they're just so tasty. You can change them around and put the ingredients in them that you like and that your family likes. Once again, thanks for stopping by. Please don't forget to like, and if you haven't subscribed, subscribe to my channel. I share all kinds of recipes, and I would just love to have you as a subscriber. God bless. Bye-bye.